to the Talent Optimization Podcast, the go-to podcast for CEOs and HR professionals wanting to bridge the gap between the strategy and tactical implementation of talent optimization within their organizations. Through interviews, predictive index, and personal experience, your host, Traci Scherck, helps you discover the facets of talent optimization from both a CEO and HR perspective to truly create the dream team for your organization. Are you ready? Let's get started.
Welcome to the end of 2022. Yes, we are in December and we are wrapping up yet another year. I don't know about you, but that old quote of the days are long and the years are short, right? Really seems to resonate. And my name is Traci Scherck, and I'm the Chief Talent Officer here at Elevated Talent Consulting. And as with every month, we start the month with a theme. And our theme this month is looking and reflecting on what we have accomplished and what we've done in the current year, and then planning for the next year. So as we prepared this podcast, one of the things that I wanted to reflect on is the fact that this is our 100th podcast episode. That is huge. We've recorded 100 episodes. We've put together some amazing content, some amazing guests to share insights with you as you bridge that gap between what happens in the C-suite and you as the executives. What are those challenges that you're facing and those business problems and those business results? And then those of us sitting in the human resources seat. You know, so often we look through two different lenses and really it's looking through the same lens from a different angle. And that was our whole goal in creating this podcast. And we know that we have done that based on the feedback that we have received. And so with that, I just wanted to share a little bit of reflection for you as we look at our year and give you a little bit of an outline as to how you can reflect on your year as well. And so one of those key things we want to look at is what are the outputs, right? So an output is what are those key things that were done? And then looking at how are those outputs aligned to the outcomes? And an outcome may be something like you hit a very specific business result. You grew your revenue by 5%. An outcome is you promoted 20% of your organization to the next highest level, creating that talent pathway plan. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to take a look at what are some of our outputs here at Elevated that we've accomplished this year, and what are some of those key outcomes. So we've recorded 52 podcast episodes. We coached 10 clients, and coaching is something that we've not talked a ton about on the podcast. We do have coaching that we offer inside of our programs. And so we've coached 10 clients. We've led one coaching cohort in 2022. And in 2023, we will be offering a coaching cohort for those in a leadership position, whether that is in human resources or those stepping into leadership. And this is about the being, right? So when we talk about outcomes, I'm looking at how are these individuals being? How are they managing their thoughts in their day-to-day work to get the business outcomes that they're interested in? You know, we had one client that we coached that called me and said, "Hey, Traci, I just hit the $1 million mark." And that was huge. And so much of that had to do with your coaching. I had another client that emailed me and said, "Hey, Traci, I just can't thank you enough. I've never been happier in the job that I'm currently in and with the team that I'm currently working with." So these are some of those things that we get on a daily basis as the outcomes of the work, which is the coaching that we have done with our clients. We have had over 35 speaking engagements this year, whether that is at keynoting conferences, whether that's speaking at local human resource associations or local chambers. And what is so fun about that is the individuals in those audiences have been able to implement one or two key things from those presentations that moves the needle on either retaining staff, ensuring that they're speaking to the right individuals to get them into the right roles so that they are fulfilled in their work. And that is an outcome that we can all get behind. We also have finalized our programs. And with our programs that we've done, we've created a year-long program on how to start your HR department from the ground up. This is for small businesses, right? Under 100 employees. You have that individual in your organization that draws the short stick, right? Who draws the short stick for HR and they end up doing HR, not thinking that they're going to love it? What our talent optimization programs or top HR programs do is we are going to teach you step by step how to implement an HR department inside your organization that is both foundational and transformational. And so you're not just choosing the short stick, or somebody gave you the short stick that you drew in HR. I don't know about you, but I feel like that's how I ended up here, and I fell in love with it. And that's an outcome that I want for every single client that we work with. And so within those programs, that means that we have recorded over 128 10 to 15 minute videos, all of the implementation guides, all of the templates and tools for them to implement a strong HR department inside of their organization and truly be that HR leader that aligns and is lockstep with their executives to get those key things done so that their employees are fulfilled in their work and their leadership team trusts them as that leader that is a key part of them being successful in their business unit. That is something to celebrate. So as we look at those, and those are just some of those key areas that we're focusing on here, but one of the things that I want to share with you is I want to share one of the leaders that, I followed. I think I was introduced to him, probably 15 years ago. And his name is Benjamin Zander, and I will have links to his TED Talk, to his book, The Art of Possibility, in the show notes for you. But one of the things that I love about Ben Zander is that he kind of flips the script, right? He definitely flips the script on performance reviews. And many of you are in the middle of performance review season right now, probably begrudgingly and hating every second of it. So as you look at, hey, how do we review this past year? And then how do we plan for the next year? What if we looked at a performance preview instead of a performance review, right? And when we say a performance preview, it's essentially stating, hey, if you were going to be the top performer in your role, what would you do to step into that? And so what Benjamin Zander did is he was a college professor of music. He also led the Boston Philharmonic. And what he had each of his students do is he said, hey, every single student here will be given an A. But what you have to do is you have to write me a letter from the future in past tense. The letter is addressed to me as your professor, telling me why you earned that A, both in terms of mindsets and behaviors. And here's what students shared. They practiced diligently even when they didn't want to. They overcame fears and fully showed up in their performance. They accepted instruction over their own self-doubt. If we think about those key things, what if we asked every employee right now, as we're reflecting on 2022 and planning for 2023, that said, what if you received all fives across the board on your performance evaluation at this time next year? So December 2023 at your performance evaluation time, how will you have earned all fives, if that's your scale, 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest, that 5 rating across every area? What will you need to do? Write me a letter and tell me what that is, both in your mindset, both in how you show up, both in the work that you're doing, right? So this is that, how are you being? And what are you doing in that work, right? Because what this does is this combines what they're doing so that you as that leader can support them in getting there, but they also know what the goals are because they're setting them ahead of time with you and they're stepping in believing that they have already won. It's about that key belief. So yes, I am coaching every single one of you right now within this, but I really want you to try on this belief that, hey, if I'm going to get a 5 on my performance appraisal next year, what do I need to step into and do right now? And I want you to write yourself that letter and share it with your supervisor. What does that look like? So this idea of stepping into what that looks like ahead of time, you are deciding ahead of time what your performance outcomes will be. Isn't that amazing? So that is one of those art of possibilities. And this is the name of his book. And by the way, his TED Talk and his book will be linked in the show notes. that I just really want you to think about, because our mind is an incredibly powerful tool and our thoughts absolutely create our results, right? So there's some other things that happen within that, but our thoughts absolutely create the results that happen. And so as leaders in your organization, as HR leaders and executives, I really want you to think about, what would that letter look like for you to hit those marks at the end of the year? Again, so often we forget all the things that we accomplish because it's so much easier. And quite honestly, our brains are created to bring out the negatives versus the positives. So it is up to us to track what those things are and stop lying to ourselves about all of our accomplishments and really start raising those up. Now, do we need to align the accomplishments that our staff have with what the organization needs? Of course. And guess what? We do that in something called a people strategy, right? Where we're going to outline what specifically are the business strategy, what is the business outcomes that we're going for, then how do we align our people in the right roles with the right leader in the right teams in order to hit those. And we have to believe that we can actually achieve them. How many of you believe that achieving your business goals is actually possible? My guess is it's less than half of you. If you don't believe it's possible, it is 0% likely to happen. So as you review those results from 2022, and as you plan for 2023, I want you to think about what is possible. I want you to ask your staff to write a letter to themselves in past tense, right? As to how they hit every single item on that performance appraisal and how you as the leader and you as the organizational leader did that for your business. Because so often what happens is we change the goalposts. And what happens is that continues to erode the culture and that continues to erode how our employees feel about work. That's not something that we want to have happen, correct? So with that, I ask you to go ahead and give this a try this on. So as we close out this short coaching podcast session today, we're celebrating our 100th episode. So I would love for you to go give us 5 stars because this is a big deal, right? And I hope the outcome of these episodes is that you have one thing that you can take away that you can implement in your business that moves that needle on hitting those business outcomes. So our takeaway for executives right now is celebrate with your staff what they accomplished this last year. And I want you to set with your staff, what are the performance outcomes and goals? What are they so that you know you can reach your business goals? And I want you to have each of your staff write that letter to themselves in past tense about how they will achieve the top rating on your performance appraisal scale, whether that's a 5 or whatever that is, and what behaviors they will do, how will they be, and what will they do in order to achieve that. And for HR, I want you to really support your leadership team in reaching these business outcomes. I want you to do the same thing that we're asking the executives do, and I want you to be their fiercest partner and advocate of reaching these goals to elevate your people so that they are fulfilled in their work. And as that leadership team, you've created that container for them to be successful. So with that, thank you so much for being with us throughout the year. Thank you for giving us that 5-star review out on all of the podcast platforms. And thank you for listening every single week. I hope that you have a fantastic first week in December, and we will talk to you next week.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Talent Optimization Podcast. You'll find more tools and resources for CEOs and HR professionals looking to bridge the strategies versus implementation gap of talent optimization at elevatedtalentconsulting.com. We've also created a free, valuable resource for you to begin bridging the gap called the Talent Optimization Foundation Membership Program. You can access it for free at elevatedtalentconsulting.com/foundation. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode to learn more about talent optimization and creating a dream team for your organization.